And here we are. Welcome to the Condor DM Show, the one night of the week where we talk about tabletop role-playing games. And this is just private for my supporters, but you're welcome to watch, if you're an onlooker. I don't care. But yeah, this week, Ravenloft. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be Ravenloft viewed from the TSR era. So I won't be covering Ravenloft as any of the updates that came from Wizards of the Coast, or as some people call them, WotC. So you're not going to see anything about Ravenloft related to WotC. I'm just covering Ravenloft as it was introduced, as it was in the TSR era of Dungeons and Dragons. Now, there was something I was going to cover this week, and it's pretty big. And I want to make an announcement right now for next week's stream. So I was going to cover the Deck of Many Things. Now, the Deck of Many Things can be outside of Ravenloft, but many players over the years connect and experience with the Deck of Many Things to their time with the character in Ravenloft, right? It's just a very common experience, especially for the old school of D&D. Many people had their characters in Ravenloft facing the Deck of Many Things. Next week, I'm doing the whole stream focused on the Deck of Many Things. We're going to cover it, baby. We're going to cover the Ravenloft version, but there is sort of like a deck version outside of that. Hey, what's up, Black Rose? I'm here to teach you or remind you, refresh you, nostalgia, whatever it is for you. We're going to go over Ravenloft. So I got some notes. You're going to see me looking at them quite a bit because this is, usually I talk just off the top of my head. I don't script, but when I do these type of things, there's so much I want to communicate. I want to organize it out. So I got notes for this. So Ravenloft, a prison for monsters who believe themselves justified. A setting where evil is self-defeating. A world designed to explore fear, guilt, and consequence. A horror setting wearing the skin of fantasy. Now, let's talk about the core identity, right, of what Ravenloft is. It's a living world. Let's just be clear about that. The world itself is alive, right? Well, Black Rose, I hear what you're saying there. Ravenloft is one of your favorites, but there might be a few things I can throw down for you here. You never know. I might have even missed something. Look, seriously covering detail. I'm not going to do a 6-hour stream or 2-3-hour streams. So, my deal with Dragonlance, because I know nerds, I have to put this forth, right? This warning that, guys, I know there are a few details. Some nerds that are really, really hot on Dragonlance will be like, well, he didn't mention that. What I'm doing is trying to feed Ravenloft as I experienced it to you, right? And I'm trying to give you an essence of what it is within a time limit, right? So just understand, my fellow nerds, you could easily pick apart some of these things I'm doing, but if you understand my purpose, you might start realizing where it's not as flawed as you might first think, right? So it's a living world, Ravenloft. The name of the living world, it's not just a being. It's almost like seen as multiple beings. Because there's, and we're going to go into the layers of Ravenloft soon, but it's as if the planet was made up of like multiple beings that are considered gods. Now, is there a name for the gods? Not exactly. They're called the Dark Powers. Everyone sort of knows this, the Dark Powers. And we stay in that mystery in Ravenloft as far as the living world and what it's made of. It's like made of multiple god minds in the world. And they're just powers. Right, so we stay in the mystery there. It's like Doctor Who. The mystery is meant to be. The core identity of Ravenloft is like gothic horror, not fantasy. A prison world. I know that sounds weird, right? When you picture Ravenloft, a lot of people don't think of it that way, like a prison world, because it is like a prison world. And in the details I'm going to go over here, you're going to understand all that very clearly. It's a prison world. Think of Ravenloft like some weird, domain jail, right? And it's for really naughty prisoners. So evil is punished, not rewarded. So it's in the world, you are punished. Like it's a trickery. It's something looks like it could be rewarding something evil, but in many ways it's punishing evil. And so that's not always clear up front for a lot of people getting to know Ravenloft. They think it's there to support evil. I could understand where that comes from when you're reading into what it is at first, right? But over time, you start realizing it's a prison world there to punish the bad, the sinful. Okay, now, how do we get people to Ravenloft? Because Ravenloft is just a different place. It's not great, but how do you drag them from Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms? And because it's like, what, do you just find portals? For Ravenloft, it's like a mist will appear. There's a mist created. Now, this mist can be used within the layers of Ravenloft to draw people in, or it can just be used outwardly, like the Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms, these different realms. When you encounter this mist, your character or somebody, they're drawn into it, like it's like sucked in. Well, we'll get more into it. It steals people. It defines borders because in a weird way, this mist is like something between the different layers that you're going to see in Ravenloft. We'll get more to that. There is separate domains. That's the layers I'm talking about. So just keep up with me. This will all start being more clear as we go forward. Escape is rare. So when the mist comes for you, can you possibly, disconnect from it? Yeah, but it's really hard. Is it still going like that, Black Rose? Am I getting better? Are we? I don't want to. I could almost restart some of this if I have to. I just want to see where we're at, Black Rose. Are we doing a little better? Is the connection getting a little better? Am I still fluttering? Okay. Hopefully that was just a small bump in the road. So this mist shows up and it's going to draw you in. Now, it's really stealing people because you're being forced into Ravenloft by encountering this thing. The mist is a magical mist that appears in other realms and takes people by force to one of the layers in Ravenloft. Black Rose, thank you. Yeah. I'll put that one up. I like that one. That one's good. Okay, hang on. But here we go. Okay, what about these domains? There's the domains of dread. That's what they're called. You might call them like pocket hells, like little, very dark, nasty places. So like the idea of hell, but it's all like these little hells that make up Ravenloft. So don't think of Ravenloft as like one location. That's not what it is. It's a weird place. It's made up of multiple locations. Okay, one ruler for each of these domains. We'll get to who that is. If you know Ravenloft, you're gonna know some of this stuff as I'm saying it. So fair enough, you're hitting on this. But just for the people that don't know, here we go. Land reflects the Lord. So the one ruling over the land will reflect them in a certain way, their life, their experience, how they're being punished, all of these things, right? Lords can't leave. Remember I told you earlier, a prison world? Who do you think the prison is for? Because when a lot of people read about certain characters from Ravenloft, they assume they're the characters there. It's like, do you know why they're there? Do you know Lord Soth, Strahd? You think it's just like their home and they hang out and then go wherever they want? That's not exactly what Ravenloft is at all. It's a prison for people like that. Very cursed people. But we'll get to that as I go forward. I'm going to cover Strahd and Lord Soth as relates to Ravenloft, but we're just covering the world right now. I'm giving you an idea of what all this is, especially shit you probably don't know if you're someone who's really not dug into Ravenloft. So these rulers will be chosen by the dark powers. Mm-hmm. Yep. No, that's exactly it. Oh yeah. Here's the thing. It's sad. Here's what's really sad. It's to be Black Rose. A lot of young people that I will want to have see this, a lot of them have not read these books. Even a lot of people, sadly, in the hobby that have been here for a while have not read. So if you read some of it and you want to communicate that, there's so much you have to explain to really clarify meaning. Because it'd be nice if you can go into a room with other people that read the material, because then you can assume things when you talk to people. But so much explaining. I'm just like, how about I just go at the world as if you didn't read the novel, but you're a gamer. So most people who do experience Dragonlance, Lord Soth, even Ravenloft, they all experience it mainly through actually playing like the box set world, right? So that's why I've been going at it like this. So I won't. That's why I didn't do those books or really cover those books on the Dragonlance special. But I got some details here. No worries. Think of Ravenloft as being made up of layers. As I said, each layer there is a ruler chosen by the dark powers. Now let's get to what these rulers are. They're called the Dark Lords, right? Sorry, when I talk about this stuff and do this stuff, I can change a bit, and you're just gonna have to put up with that. When I talk, we're talking here. Okay, so Dark Lords, absolute power, absolute failure, cursed by desire, never satisfied. So it's like they're given power, but it's everything they're going to do is absolutely always fail them. So like they can be very strong people, given many powers by the dark powers, but in many ways they're still absolutely suffering. They're being punished while they're there. You don't understand. Strahd is being punished while he's in Ravenloft. Lord Soth, that's going to be a bit of a different story. That's unique, and that's why I definitely want to talk about Lord Soth, because unlike all this stuff I'm telling you right now, Lord Soth breaks some of these rules. That's what's so unique about him in Ravenloft. There's not a lot of story about him in Ravenloft, but what he does do is come in and break some of these ground rules that you're going to hear me talking about. Right? Strahd it has to be based in the ground rules, but Lord Soth breaks them. Oh no, Black Rose, 100% guaranteed. The books from those books are probably the best thing. I mean, if you've never role played before, I know some people that came in through the books, right? So they actually picked up, like they got books from gamer friends that had them, and they read them, and they're like, oh, if whatever this is something like what you're doing, I want to do it. And it's like, yeah, this is something like what we're doing. But you got to remember, Dragonlance was very unique. I've seen some people come into try the gaming, and it wasn't exactly what they expected, because Dragonlance is so fucking unique compared to some of the other places. They're all unique in their own way, but it's just some of the generic stuff is there's a break. Like Dragonlance is different with magic. Limitations. And it changes the entire game too. Like, sometimes you don't understand how small things can just curve how you play the game. Like, you could be, say you fought for 2 years, you're doing combat in the game, and there's like 3 elements in there that are making the combat slow. So your average normal combat is going to an hour and a half, and you're used to that. You've been doing it for 2 or 3 years. What if someone comes along and says, what if we take this out, change this, and twist this over here? And suddenly, that hour and a half fight is 25 minutes, still just as good. You get it. Okay. So let's talk. All Dark Lords are cursed people who suffer due to the things they did in their lives. Strahd is one of the most famous beings amongst the Dark Lords, but so is Lord Soth, clearly. Now, What about like bringing in classes and races? They don't really bring new stuff on that end. They have a big focus on variations in different types of people. So like cultures and humans. There is one unique type of human with some unique abilities that almost makes them something like it's just different to play them than other humans. That's this Tanny. So they're a special case, right? But there's no real introduction of like the other worlds, like, oh, here's these new races from Ravenloft, or here's these new classes. It wasn't that. That's not what was going on with this game. So it's human dominated. Culture, race, demi-humans are actually rare in this world. They're like elves and that. So it's mostly human focused. Adventures and modules like Curse of Strahd. So if you get any of the modules or you're checking out the adventures for TSR Ravenloft, you're going to notice story over loop, tragedy endings, survival is victory. Get it? Moral pressure. So a lot of moral challenging, like, do you do the good thing or the bad thing, right? Like, because the bad thing might get you the thing, but the good thing might mean you got to not get that, stuff like that, right? A lot of that. Now, there is a unique area. Magic. Divine magic functions, but gods are distant and muted. Clerics may never know if their prayers are truly answered. So it'd be like, you might think you hear your God, but it's you really can't. Like, you really can't connect, but you can somewhat use magic. It's just limitations. Necromancy and curses are more potent and dangerous. So necromancy, curse magic, way stronger in Ravenloft. Fear, horror, and madness are mechanically and narratively important. Magic is it's scary to use because there are going to be so many consequences when you're using magic in Ravenloft. And it's different than other D&D gimmicks and experiences for this reason, right? Meaning your powers still work, but with limitations, and your connection to your god is I've already said, is completely muted pretty much. Unique mechanics as it relates to magic. Magic has consequences. So that's not really something seen exactly in the same way with just normal D&D, but here there is consequences. Here's a great example, power checks. They can destroy a paladin character. So fail enough of these and the paladin begins to change. Ravenloft starts rewarding corruption. They may gain dark gifts at a moral cost. A fallen paladin in Ravenloft doesn't just lose powers, they risk becoming part of the horror, getting stuck in that world. So you get these weird power checks, and if you're failing them, it degrades who your paladin is. And if you keep failing these, at one point you become, like a Dark Knight, right? You're no longer the paladin with the same connection, and here you are. You're stuck in Ravenloft, and you're part of the scenery. So design philosophy for this world, it comes down to focus on limitations, consequences, temptation, very focused on like the tempting to get money with the moral challenge, and a slow corruption. Like, it's a slowness, like you gradually build towards something evil. Like, it can corrupt you while you're there. And it's the power checks are an example of that. But the world is trying to corrupt you the entire time you're there. And the world are these beings called dark powers. Okay. That was part 1 so far of my coverage of Ravenloft. I hope you're learning some stuff here. I hope you're hearing stuff you never really understood about Ravenloft or even knew. We're going to move on to Lord Soth. Lord Soth right away, because I want to leave Strahd for last. Strahd is very popular. Lord Soth is the connection I really used to decide to do Dragonlance, and then it inspired me as I was going, oh yeah, Lord Soth, Ravenloft. And I said, oh man, I got to cover Ravenloft. I got to do it. So I look at it as the inspiration from just rereading up on Lord Soth again is what brought me here. Oh yeah, DMing in Ravenloft is crazy, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun as a DM. I don't know. It's some players. I've seen players really enjoy it, but it's it's like, say you meet players that will have a problem with a vampire sucking levels out of their character, right? Now, I agree. I don't like that gimmick either, but that's some of the straining shit type of feel you can have in Ravenloft as a player with your character. It's like you just got to get players that can handle it, right? Oh, I'll put that up just so people can read that. The dark mood and theme, etc. I transfer my game mastering style into a Warhammer setting, being a dark fantasy setting as well. Yeah, it. I mean, this is fantasy as far as it leans on the Dungeons and Dragons and the vampire stuff, but it really does lean a lot into the overall horror idea. And I think anything could be horror, honestly, but this does lend itself to creating it. It more leans into it, so you'll naturally create the horrific stuff going on. And most of the stories and the backgrounds of the people and what you're meeting, it is crazy. The whole place is crazy. And if you play the Strahd stuff, yeah, then you get to experience some of the most crazy stuff, I think, in Dungeons and Dragons, period. Just period. So, Lord Soth, why is he so different than the other Dark Lords? He arrived, or see, every other Dark Lord becomes what they become in Ravenloft, or one of the layers, right? They become what they become while they're there. So they're being corrupted while they're there, type of thing. So it happens to them there in one of the layers. Lord Soth is from the Dragonlance world. So unlike the others, he's already being corrupted in the Dragonlance world before he crosses over to Ravenloft. So that's the first detail. Unlike others, no temptation. It's like see, Strahd had to be tempted to become what he became. So he betrayed the good person he was. And that's usually the story in many cases. You betray the goodness of what you were, and that's the temptation that makes you. He has no ambition. He's not chasing anything, meaning he really has no hunger for power either. He doesn't want power. He doesn't want anything. This is going to be really, really important for something that I'm going to talk about later at the end of Lord Soth, saying why these details about him are important, because he breaks the rules of Ravenloft. He really does, because Ravenloft is supposed to be, if you're like him, you can never go free. Lord Soth is drawn into Ravenloft after his damnation is complete. Unlike many Dark Lords, he is not tempted into evil inside the demiplane. He arrives already lost. Dark powers do not try to change him. All they do is focus on containing Lord Soth in Ravenloft. Now, Lord Soth, obviously, if he becomes a Dark Lord, that means he gets his own little domain. His domain is called Sithicus. Okay, so this place is Soth becomes Dark Lord of Sithicus, a bleak, scarred domain shaped to reflect his inner state. Sithicus is ash-choked skies and ruined landscapes, crumbling fortresses and dead cities, an atmosphere of abandonment and decay. So the place is just, it's lifeless. There's no life to this location, right? But by the time Lord Soth comes here, it's almost like there's nothing in him either. Like he's been stripped of it during the time he was in Dragonlance, right? Like he's come here sort of, boom, I'm not after anything, right? I'm not tempted. Like I would not have been tempted like the other people here in the same way. But he found his temptation anyway in Dragonlance. His curse. Okay. Apathy, guilt without struggle, no hope, no resistance. Soth is not driven by desire. His curse is apathy. He feels no ambition to rule. He has no interest in conquest. He does not seek escape or redemption. He's not even looking to be forgiven. This makes him uniquely frustrating to the dark powers, because they really require that you be tempted to these things. These are things that are going to draw you in. If they don't, it's hard to control you, right? And that's what they want, to control. Where others suffer by wanting too much, Soth suffers by wanting nothing at all. So he's been drawn into this place, but he just has no interest in participating in the madness. Yet he's made a Dark Lord. He's put in the situation, but he doesn't even fight it. It's not like he's there to be rebellious either. It just absolutely doesn't care, absolutely wants nothing. That's it. That's what Lord Soth is in this world. The Dark Powers versus Soth. They can't break them. There's no leverage. Punishment fails. Acceptance becomes defiance. So instead of saying no to everything, he accepts everything, but in a strange way, they need him to be, defiant. But it becomes defiant because all of the things they use against people in Ravenloft, these dark powers, it is just empty. It does not work on Lord Soth. Soth does not manipulate heroes for sport. So unlike, say, Strahd, Lord Soth does not mess with characters that are coming into the world of Ravenloft. Like he doesn't put them through the ringer or challenge them. So you're not going to get the Lord Soth dungeon the same way, or mansion, or whatever adventure of the week there is for Strahd. It's not going to be for Lord Soth. The dark powers cannot properly torment him. He accepts his damnation without protest. Guilt defines him, but does not consume him. Soth is fully aware of his sins and believes he deserves eternal punishment. This acceptance robs the dark powers of leverage. So it's taken away. Why is this even worth mentioning in the long run? Like, why is it worth pointing out? We're going to get there. There is an end to this that relates to this weird relationship he has with the world that is unlike the other Dark Lords. As a ruler, he doesn't care, doesn't rule. Domain completely rots. So his world rots. He does not lift a finger. Minions, like the whatever servants he has, just drift. He gives no orders. Ignores unless provoked. So if characters don't mess with him, or whatever's around doesn't mess with him, he just doesn't mess with you. He doesn't do games. He doesn't even do speeches. And violence is final, meaning, man, if that guy lifts the sword against you, Lord Soth, he is going to look to kill you. There will be no, hey, can I talk my way out of it? No, it's final, over. Soth does not manipulate heroes, like I said. Just doesn't. When he does act, it's swift, merciless, and final. Personality: silent and withdrawn, emotionally numb rather than cruel, motivated by regret, not hatred. He is not theatrical. He does not monologue. He does not revel in fear. His presence alone is enough. Right? He's the type of guy that you see him, there should be an aura coming off this guy that says, I should be afraid of that, or I should be ready to fight, if nothing else. That guy is not here to, pat me on the back and say, ask me how I'm doing, or tell me about the weather, right? It's like, you don't want to see Lord Soth because it's most likely one of the last things you're going to see in your life. So let's talk about something that happens at the end of his story in Ravenloft that doesn't happen to the others. He leaves Ravenloft. Yep, it's supposed to be a prison. Nobody can get out. But somehow Lord Soth simply leaves Ravenloft. Not redeemed. He's not been forgiven, nothing. Not defeated. The dark powers, simply all their techniques did not work on him. Simply useless to torment. So he can't be tormented. So the dark powers give up. There's nothing controlling this guy. And there's no reason to keep him there if they can't control him. They finally let it go. And that's how Lord Soth, without any pushback, simply leaves Ravenloft. Okay. Theme and hook. Let's talk about this. Ravenloft punishes desire. And we're going to get to that because we're going to get to Strahd's story. So you wanted something, you went after it. You messed up, right? You made major mistakes. you're going to pay. You are going to pay for going after that pleasure when that was the wrong move. That's Ravenloft punishes desire. And it's going to focus on what you desire and keep running that over and over again just to torment you the entire time you're there. Soth has none. That's a problem, eh? So nihilism beats the prison. That's the funny thing. It's true. This uncaring factor, this I don't care, yeah, I'll say yes to everything. This whole I give up on everything just defeated the dark powers, because without anything mattering to this character, this Lord Soth, this person, there's nothing you can do. Their powers aren't to beat you up, right? Their powers are all about manipulation, but you need to be able to grasp onto the manipulation. If they try to manipulate you and simply do not get the reaction required, then they can't control you. That's the deal with the dark powers. They're trying to manipulate you, and he proves by simply not giving a fuck, they can't. It's somewhat sad, but true. The book about him, The Black Rose, is my absolute favorite. Obviously, I get the Black Rose thing. It's so incredible storytelling, recommended to all who didn't know about it. Oh, absolutely. You should go read about Lord Soth, up and down. No doubt. Totally worth it. Not all monsters struggle. This is what Lord Soth proved. Not all monsters struggle in Ravenloft. Not all curses work as intended. These are curses. These manipulation things are all curses. And it's basically a curse. In his case, the curses failed. So they always don't just work. They don't just curse somebody automatically. The curse is still, you need to do something for the curse to play itself out on you. And it's proving that, yeah, it's they don't always just work on people if they don't get the reaction. So the curse requires some activity from the being cursed. And sometimes damnation fails because the damned agree with it. What does that mean? Lord Soth agrees that he should be punished. Black Rose. It's the second in the series. My nick is actually from before I even knew about role-playing games, so your nickname. So no Lord Soth. Oh, okay. It's so connected, though. It's so easy to connect that. So yeah, thank you for clarifying. So what does he prove? Damnation fails because the damned agrees. That's what happens here. Like, instead of him trying to avoid the punishment, he accepts it. By doing that, it frees him of the curse in a way. He just says, like, you're right. So it's like, if you want something other than what's right, you're gonna suffer here, right? But if you just go, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I deserve it. I agree with you. I fucked up. That's really, if you think about it, the story of Lord Soth and Ravenloft. He just shows up and goes, yeah, I'm here. I did it. Yep. I'm a bad person. I'm horrible. I have no excuse for what I did. I am absolutely guilty. That's what Lord Soth did when he came to Ravenloft. And by just fully accepting his wrongdoing, just the guy accepts every wrong thing he did as wrong. Like, he acknowledges every detail of it by the time he's in Ravenloft. And then you can't hit him with anything. Because he'd have to be in denial for the curses to work on him. Okay, so that's Lord Soth. There's not a lot of story about Lord Soth, so it's more about like just details about him going over there. It's better to read about him in Dragonlance, the Dragonlance stuff. But there's not a lot of storytelling related to him once you get over to Ravenloft. I mean, there's some. It's just not a lot. And what I went through with you is pretty much it. Now, if you're new to the Strahd character, the great vampire, if Count Strahd, if you're new to him, good. I'm going to share some information so you can get to know him and his uniqueness, what made it, where he starts, where he gets. If it's nostalgia, I hope so. I'm happy if anyone watches this later and enjoys it from that vein. If you already know about it, well, let's see if I can get at least what you think would be good to communicate about Strahd into this. We'll see. We'll see how good of a job I do. Well, he's the first Dark Lord in Ravenloft. So he's the first. First ever. Here's your place. He defines the setting in a way. It's almost like the whole Ravenloft gimmick starts with him, right? The castle Ravenloft, he builds. He's like the first curse too. He's the first to go through the horrendous, mileage of mistakes where it's gonna come back and haunt him. But let's go back to the mortal past of Strahd. He was a conqueror. He was a war hero, builder of Barovia. It depends. I'm not good at pronouncing it. I know a few people that pronounce it, so I'm sorry if I get that wrong. Gave up on everything at one point. That's sort of his mortal past. So he's a guy who built the land that he's actually going to rule over as the Strahd, the vampire. But he built it at a time when he was a hero. But he wasn't just a hero. He was a war guy. He's a military person. It was all about conquest. But he was playing the good role during the conquest, like the Romans. Like, we're not fighting a war of offense, we're fighting a war of defense. They're fighting a war of offense. But, I mean, you're a hero if you're fighting the war of defense. So say that. But he's a good guy. He's pretty much a good guy. That's the way he sees himself, at least at that point in his life. Now we're going to get to what causes him to go from, what makes him go from, conqueror, war hero to fucking vampire, dude. Did he run into somebody who bit him? Not exactly. He doesn't turn into a vampire from the bite. It's a different story. The fatal choice. Tatiana. Jealousy. Pact. Patricide. Killed his brother. So let's go over. So vampire curse. It's a curse. It's not a benefit in the TSR view of what vampirism is. So this is not considered a good thing or a power up. It's considered a bad thing. Immortality without joy is what he's going to go through. Power without love, because I'm going to go back to the Tatiana, the jealousy, the pact, the kill brother. We're going to go through all these details. I'm going to clarify all this. No worries. Power without love. Again, we're going to get to that. Victory without meaning. It's like you won nothing. Now, you went for something, but you won in a way, but the thing you won isn't at the other side of that victory. But somehow you won. We're going to get to that. Becoming a vampire. Eternal life without fulfillment. Power without satisfaction. Control without peace. So what's the real story here? I'm going to go over I'll probably mention some of this stuff again. So he has a brother named Sergi, right? And Sergi's a younger man at the time when he's this older, more mature hero. But Sergi has this young Tatiana woman that he's in love with, and she's in love with him. But Strahd sees her. Strahd wants her. Strahd falls in love with Tatiana. So he gets desperate. This is where he trades off everything. So earlier I said he trades off everything, just gives everything up. What do I mean? Why would he give everything up? Yeah, for a woman. So he starts by making a deal with the dark powers, right? To make him young, to give him his youth back, so he can compete with his younger brother, the more youthful Sergi, for Tatiana. And he did go to compete with his brother, and he killed his brother. And then she died. Well, she refuses him first. And then when she tries to escape his location, his castle, Ravenloft, she's killed. So understand he's already made a deal with the dark powers to become what he doesn't really know as the vampire. The youth, the immortality. He's been given this, and here he is. But now she's dead. He traded everything away for her. Simply gone. Just like that. And, well, you know what happens next. So the Grey Land, the place he takes over, his land. Fearful people, eternal and stagnant. Reflections of Strahd. Strahd is just a very unhappy person. He rules this place absolutely. Commands the land, the wolves, the weather, and even the dead, of course. The place exists, so sadly, to torment him. Like he rules the land, but it really just exists to torment him. Like this place is all about endlessly replaying variations of his failure. Dark powers use this land to torment Strahd. They replay his thing where, the woman comes back and whatnot. Like it's torturing him with what he gave up, what he lost, everything else. Like just that curse running over and over and over again. His curses, Tatiana reincarnates, always rejects him, always dies. And it's a cycle. The cycle never stops. So Tatiana keeps being reincarnated, keeps rejecting him, keeps dying, and we start the process over again. The place itself is a cursed demi-plane. It reincarnates Tatiana's soul again and again. She is reborn as a mortal woman. Strahd recognizes soul, not her face. So she might not even look the same all the time, or he might not, recognize that appearance for whatever reason. It's like, think of him having like PTSD or something like that. This is a crucial detail. Strahd does not control the cycle. The dark powers do. So, of course, he's not running this reincarnation cycle himself. He's not making the rules up. This is being done to him because he's suffering every time he's going through this. And it's like a forever torture in this prison, place, right? This hellscape. Personality: cold, intelligent, patient, and controlling. Calculating, and I would say he's patient, cruel, and highly intelligent, capable of courtesy and charm, but never mercy. So, if he were to make a deal with you and you weren't his outright enemy at the time, oh man, he could treat you well. But he might even treat you well if he's just about to kill you. And that's that charm factor, right? He's a strange guy. But it makes sense. Strahd and the player characters. This is important because Strahd is an NPC that will interact and has interacted with many characters through DMs from the old school for decades, right? So Strahd and the PCs, he toys with them, he tests them, he corrupts them, and he destroys their hope. You got to go play some of that stuff to find out exactly what that means. Or some things even trying to give a sentence to it wouldn't do it justice. So just at least mentioning it to you and get you the idea in your head is good enough. Why he never escapes. So unlike Strahd, Strahd never escapes Ravenloft because of obsession, possession over love, refusal to learn, which makes him the perfect prisoner. So Soth accepts everything. Strahd denies everything. And in that denial, the curse plays out perfectly. Remember, he's the first. He starts all this, and the Dark Powers have developed this system through dealing with Strahd. And when Lord Soth comes in, he's the complete opposite of Strahd. So this is where they're sort of weird, bang into each other, like the magnet won't go together. And this is why Strahd is the perfect prisoner here, but Lord Soth it didn't work for him. The Dark Powers cannot do anything to him, but they can completely pull the strings of Strahd. Sadly, they give him his power. So when you think he's powerful, remember the Dark Powers, it's like he got just a bit of their power. So they're the power. So closing hook, Strahd wants, Soth doesn't. That's why Strahd stays. That's it. That's a simple outcome for the two of them. Okay, Strahd is a great villain, but sadly overrepresented in the Ravenloft setting. Not that necessarily leads to bad games and whatnot, but there are so many other cool lords and lands. Overrepresented, yeah. He's definitely, but I think there's a reason for that. Money. Like if I give you a Ravenloft adventure based on one of the other lords, okay, if I could have made 10 million, I just made $1 million. So you sort of got to forgive the companies on this because they got to make the money. This is the criticism I've had for some of the old school stuff is they will keep pushing for things that destroy the companies that serve them. It's like, well, if these guys did this for you, destroy them because it doesn't sell that well, right? You got to and then you got to hope that within them making the stuff that makes the money, they can make some projects for you. But at that point, you still got to be sort of serving the company. The company only listens to the paying customer. If you're out here on YouTube and you're obviously someone who rejects their product and you're complaining, they ignore you. And you got to have a lot of sway to change how the market works for them to bother paying attention to you. Many people think they have that sway on YouTube, like some old guy sitting there thinking he has sway over the market. It's just ridiculous that you even hear this. They even try to represent the idea that they actually sway WotC on what they're doing. It's like you're some fucking old loser sitting there. Come on, man. The market is huge. You don't got 100,000 people. Like if you're Matt Colville with hundreds of thousands of followers and that type of influence, if he says something about WotC and it affects him, I can buy he's the cause of it. I can buy Matt Mercer can cause it. But I don't buy that 10, 20 guys that are old school with less than 10,000 subs each. Some of them only have like a 2,000, some of them hundreds, are going to be able to fucking sway or have that much influence or sway the fucking market on how these things work. So I think that's childish. I think you got to be supportive of companies when they're trying to make money. Meaning, if I was a WotC customer and I'm loyal to that company, is I buy the Strahd stuff, and then as a paying customer, start, and hopefully other paying customers do, put pressure on the company to make these things and go. Here's what I would do. If I was someone who was really trying to influence WotC or anybody, I see all these guys out here making arguments for why they should make stuff. I'm like, why not just go like do polls and votes and that? Like the more names you can get to sign up, I'll buy it, I'll buy it, I'll buy it, I'll buy it. And then you go to the company and go, here, take a look at that. Now they know that maybe only half the people will buy it. So I hope you understand that. That means 1,000 wouldn't be as much to a company as you think. But if you got 10,000, that's 5,000 people that will buy it. At the very least, they might bank that, right? And if you can take that to a company, here, I could have complained on YouTube, but instead we did some votes, and here's how many people signed up, blah, 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 said they would buy this. Will you make it? Because then you're telling a company, here's us showing that if you do this, you're not taking a risk. And WotC, they get hit so many times that they're not going to take that many risks. They're not going to do Dark Sun. Or if they do, it's going to be something completely jacked. And you're going to get mad at them, but in ways that jack move probably will make them money that you don't know about. So, I know. So I would say that. I'm personally just not into the WotC stuff. Now let's go back. For sure, this Black Rose, for sure, I understand it. It's just I hope people who discover and play Ravenloft will have more nuanced experience in Curse of Strahd. See, that's why I covered the world Black Rose. Like, that's why I said there's multiple Dark Lords, there's these dark powers. Like, going over the world is to get people on the path. There's a lot there. There's multiple layers, pockets of hells, different places. And then I even make sure to announce that Strahd is a famous one, and we're going to cover Lord Soth. I hope that means people understand from the first part that I'm not covering everything, which I made very clear at the start. I can't cover every detail, right? I'm not going to. That would be 6 hours of streaming on this. I'm not doing that much time on it, on the subject. Even adding the deck of many things in here, I decided not to do. Just to do it next week. Do a big focus on the deck of many things overall. But again, I'm old school. And again, I just don't have an audience that's telling me to do otherwise. So this is just for supporters. Old school, the deck of many things. So if you're someone who experienced a sort of different version of some deck of many things in 3rd edition, 4th edition, or 5th edition, I don't know what you're talking about. Our information might not match, but if they are the same, well then, good. Okay, we'll be cool. Right? So if I mention certain rules, I think some might be old school and not new school. I don't know. Again, it's always up to the audience to communicate to me. And let me know when they want stuff. And if they don't do that, we get this. And I'm not complaining about this because I think it's awesome. I think if we're going to go back to old school, it's one thing to get the modules in that, but I want to track people back to some of these worlds, right? Yeah, maybe the carrot stuff. I sort of know what you're talking about there. Yeah, I did a bunch of studying on that. So I've been doing. I still am doing it. Deciding. I did a study on tarot cards, not because I believe in them. I'll be real. It was for the fantasy. I want a set of unique tarot cards that I could use in the game, like in the game I was making at the time. And I still am doing the project. It is something I still want to add, and I've added sort of elements of it into the game already, where you can play with some idea of a tarot card and do certain things, but I want to detail out what the tarot cards are going forward. That's a project I'm working on right now. In a way, I look at the tarot card sort of like my version of the deck of many things. But what does it mean? Like it's going to have to work slightly different than the deck of many things because it's going to work more like a tarot card reading. But I want to take the deck of many things and then this tarot card thing, slam those things together and go, what do I get if I try to play with that with, say, the tarot card reader put 3 cards down? What would that mean? Because the deck of many things is every card is, right? Do I go to the extreme on each one, or only some are extreme, some are not extreme? Like the variation. So I'm going to look at the deck of many things and just try to understand how many were extreme compared to not so extreme. Like measure that out, right? And just having a refresh look at the deck of many things. And I want to personally use the deck of many things in D&D soon. I haven't used it in a long time, so it was an excuse to say I want to look at it for that reason, for gaming. I want to look at it for streaming reasons, but it's so big, and I'm looking at it for another reason, for developing something. I thought I just got to do a whole stream on just a deck of many things as it is. Now, after the deck of many things, we'll do some more realms. I'll be announcing the further streams, like what we're going to do going forward after the next stream. But all right, I'll give you a hint. Actually, I won't give you a hint. I'll give you the first stream I'm going to do after the deck of many things. Forgotten Realms. Yeah, that's a big one, eh? Forgotten Realms. But again, I cover Forgotten Realms from the TSR era. So I ignore everything that has happened in the Forgotten Realms when you get to the Wizards of the Coast version of those products. So all things stated after TSR, I don't cover. They don't exist to me. I don't use them, right? So to me, if I encounter Forgotten Realms and I'm using that stuff, and honestly, I just never looked into the WotC stuff. So I still only know Forgotten Realms from the old school point of view. Like I have no experience really outside of Baldur's Gate 3 with Forgotten Realms in the new sense, right? So I just got to be real with you. That was the closest thing I had to sort of update on the Baldur's Gate game 3 was my first time looking at a version of Forgotten Realms, I guess, that was created by WotC and then created by that game making team, right? So yeah, I want to let you know what Forgotten Realms was as far as what it was back in the old school. If you were to play it back then, this is Forgotten Realms, not what you see today, right? And it might be very different in many ways, and then some very similar. You know, some lines of it connect all the way through. They've kept some things going forward with Forgotten Realms, but they definitely manipulated some of the information. I don't know every detail, so I might say something, and I don't know that it's different in the WotC version, but you might notice if you're someone who keeps up with the WotC material of Forgotten Realms. I have no idea. But we are at I'm not ending the stream, but I just got to let you guys know that's Ravenloft. Ravenloft, a rundown of the world, an explanation of what the dark powers are, dark lords. I introduce you to 2 dark lords, Lord Soth, sadly he's gone now, and Strahd, the vampire, the most famous one. Now, again, many people will know who Strahd is, but in case you just don't know who Strahd is, I thought I'll go through a bit of his background if you didn't read any of this. Like you played and he's an evil vampire in the game that you played, but you're like, I don't really know much beyond that, right? Like I mentioned the name Tatiana, but you played the Strahd thing and never heard that name. Well, now you heard the name. Or have you heard of his younger brother, Sergi, who he killed? Well, you have now. I love them. They even published them physically before. Oh, I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, yeah. I can look into it. So I will probably talk about my tarot cards, and I will. I promise you, Black Rose. I know it's a request. So we will talk about the tarot cards in the next stream, along with the deck of many things, and we'll talk a bit more about tarot cards. It's tarot cards is not like some type of content I know even my supporters care too much for, so I won't spend too much time on it. And I'll talk about it as it relates just to what I'm doing with it gaming, right? So we'll cover everything. A little bit of my Neo TTRPG system, tarot card stuff. We'll do the tarot cards like Black Rose has requested, and we'll cover the deck of many things. I think it'll be fun, right? I hope you enjoyed this Ravenloft special. I'm impressed that I got it done in an hour. You know, when I was doing all these notes, I kept looking at it going, man, am I going to end up like here for 2 hours doing this? Or one? Or now, Black Rose was here. You're chatting with us here, having fun. I think if I had a lot more chatters, this could have took like an hour and a half to 2 hours. But just me, Black Rose, we get to make this fast for you. It's good stuff, right? Yes, cheers, Black Rose. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was a little bit of nostalgia. I hope you heard some details or some things you never considered or really, thought of before. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But if it's nostalgia and you were entertained, I'm happy. You seem quite happy with the whole thing. And you were definitely more talkative than Dragonlance. So I know you know your Ravenloft stuff, which is enjoyable. Ravenloft is fucking awesome. I love it. When I hear people sort of shy away from it, I'm just like, when I've seen DMs so many times, like, hey man, you want to like do the Ravenloft stuff? And they're like, no man, I don't want that's like way above my pay grade. That's a little bit too hard. I'm like, dude, no, it's amazing. It's honestly amazing because as a DM, as a game master, I really enjoy. I always remind myself to enjoy the back and forth, the tug and pull between game master and players as they're going to the thing, asking the questions, unsure of what's next. Ravenloft is always an unsure of what's next place. You're constantly in this. You're not always sitting. Like there's some dialogue where you're not interacting, but a lot of parts of Ravenloft, it's really you see a lot of needing to interact with the game master. And I love that relationship and that back and forth as we're going forward and they're running into crazy stuff and they're trying to figure out how to play it and what do they do. It's just beautiful. But it's beautiful because like there's a lot of bad outcomes in Ravenloft, but it's still worth it. As a game master, it's definitely worth it. I don't know if it's worth as much to the player, but I say it is. I say it's you got to go into it with your head on your shoulder straight, just going, I'm not going to be traumatized because this place is meant to fuck with me. Like you just got to come in with your head right before you start Ravenloft. Yeah, the Dragonlance. It's like one thing to read the novels. It's another thing to know about the world from the gaming aspect. And if you haven't really played it, but you read the novels, you'll know a bit about the world, but it can be scattered. And you're more focused on the characters in the novels anyway and their story. Their story somewhat keeps you focused on some of the Dragonlance stuff. But in reality, if I ask people that only really read the novel, they give me a somewhat okay Dragonlance background, but it'd be really like flaky, right? You'd have to really go to the Dragonlance box set, the people that game with it, and how it started, the miniature war stuff for that, because that inspired some more gaming. It's one of the I think only ones that really inspired like straight out just, hey, let's zoom out from the close up on the map and let's do some more gaming. That was Dragonlance, right? That's not something you do in Ravenloft. I mean, I could picture some type of war, but at the same time not, because I did this freestyle world. It was sort of like a version of Skullhorn before Skullhorn. All islands, the world was broken up into pieces, but there's this one island I had to sort of like, it was inspired by Ravenloft, right? So it's basically when you go to this island, you like my first time I had a player experience the island. he gets dropped off. It's like a prison island, like you're here, boom. And he's just thrown onto the fucking beach, and then he wakes up and he sees this guy painted. And he's going to go around and he's going to realize, and many people experience this type of stuff in these crazy games, but this place was made to sort of be like the Ravenloft thing. He's going around and he sees the picture, instead of like being a beautiful ocean, it's like an ocean of dead babies, right? And these dead babies are going to, the place was fucked up. The babies started coming out of the pictures. It gets crazy. It's sort of like a representation of that prison world of Ravenloft. That was the whole island, was to pitch that, to say, here's your Ravenloft world in the middle of this world, right? And that's sort of the way I sort of see Ravenloft. I don't think most people want to go there, it'd be permanent. One shots are good for Ravenloft, like the Adventures for Strahd, but in all honesty, it'd be hard to run a full-on 100-session campaign in Ravenloft without the negative outcomes really challenging the longevity of the campaign. So there'll be so many on the edge, hey, you can die, everything can blow up moments, that it's hard to hang on to longevity of a long campaign under the conditions of running them in Ravenloft. I think you could pull them off. They're just, maybe you got to pull some things. I personally never did that. I always liked and I think most DMs would agree with me that played with Ravenloft, or this is what they did. They're just, you'd be in Dragonlance, or you'd be in Forgotten Realms, or you'd be in their world or whatever, and at one moment you get caught by the mist. And now there's going to be a way out, but remember, it's supposed to be impossible, but it's like, the idea is most game masters understood, you just got to sort of put in a secret back door. Like, even though there's all these rules, there is a door that cheats these rules, maybe. Maybe they get to the guy that gives them the wish. Maybe it's the deck of many things that gets them home. Who knows, right? Maybe it's doing a mission for some being inside there, and they know how to cheat you out of the place. And remember, we're game masters. We can just make that up, even though they say it's very rare that it happens. It's like, okay, it's rare. Here's your back door, the rare one. Right? So it's there, it takes care of it. But Dragonlance was, or Ravenloft, what am I saying Dragonlance for? Ravenloft was good for a visit. Now, on many visits, you might never come back. Or on a lot of visits, only some characters come back, right? Not all, right? Take down my notes. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. That's we're normally in the witching hour this time, but this is a supporter thing where I don't get the chat open, so we're not doing witching hour. Thank you, Black Rose, as always, for being with me here in chat and enjoying the whole time. For the rest of you that watch this later, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something out of it. I hope it inspires you, if you have not tried Ravenloft or you haven't looked into it, to really go dig into this thing. There's so much more there than some simple evil stuff, right? It's complicated, gray, and definitely worth exploring. Yeah, you got it, Black Rose. That's the exact experience you'd have with most DMs. The mist comes and gets you when you're already playing in another realm. Okay, that's it. And I only had a few little glitches at the start. Yes. Black Rose, good night.